Guys, what have we all been doing during lockdown? Anything fun? They've been doing something fun. They've got a new joke going on there. I've been binge watching a lot of TV, and as you can probably tell by the look of me, it's not anything cool. I've been binge watching a lot of renovation shows. Never thought I'd be that renovation show kind of guy. Like, as a kid, I always remember Friday night before the footy was Better Homes and Gardens, and I wanted to blow my brains out watching Shelley Craft build some bullshit letterbox. But now I own a house, things are different, like the stakes are upped. Like, I see someone putting subway tiles on their kitchen splashback, I'm like, Brenda, come on! That is not 20th century Lux Deco, okay? Anyone here renovated the house recently? A couple of you? I mean, half of you look like millennials, so you're renting. I did that joke in Brunswick once and got nothing because, of course, they're all fucking renting. But I love renovation shows. I love The Block, surprisingly. Do you guys like The Block? No? All right, fuck this joke then. But The Block could never come to Tassie. Like, we had that, like, what was that one that Kimmy and Ree were on? House Rules. That came along, that was fine, because it was a house. The Block comes in. You can guarantee Scotty Cam gets off those Jetstar steps under that cold, shitty tarmac, and they'll have those dickheads from Heritage Not High Rise picketing the airport. Fuck, I hate those guys. Highlights of the Heritage Not High Rise committee include protesting demolishing the crack den next to Centrelink. I mean, come on. Crack den chic, ladies and gentlemen. It's really in right now. But I love renovating. The one thing I hate about renovating is painting, though. Anyone hate painting a house? Yes. Yeah. Here's the worst part about painting a house. Choosing a paint colour. Anyone remember what paint colour they painted their walls when they renovated? Cream, okay, that's pretty stock standard. But this is what I hate about it. You rock up to Bunnings, the 14-year-olds in red aprons ignore you. That's fine, I get it. You're on minimum wage. We get what we pay for. But you're looking at these paint colours, and it's just bullshit. Eggshell white, exactly. Eggshells aren't even white, they're bleached, ladies and gentlemen. Eggshells are brown. Fuck. But you rock up. I could go on for a while, but anyway, you rock up and they've got all these colours on the wall and it's like Ming Dynasty blue, Happy Dreams purple. It's fucking bullshit. I want that job. I want to be the guy that names paint colours. I'm just going to flick through a dictionary and be like, adjective, verb, colour. Jumping foxes green. Boom, day done, I'm going home. Why not? So I have actually come up with some paint colours. I think the reason why millennials aren't involved in house renovations is not due to crippling house prices, low wage inflation, and just, how generally fucked we all are. I think it's because we can't get involved in our paint colours, guys. So I'm just going to hit you with some millennial paint colour options and see what you think. Rental agreement blue. Instagram jealousy green. Debt agreement red. Also known as afterpays overdue red. This one's a local colour for the Tassie region. Tamar River brown. Climate change orange. Liberal Party white. Also Erica Betts white. Whatever one works. And then of course we've got the black darkness of our future. What do we think, guys? We on board? Excellent. Are you guys ready for your headline act of the evening? Woo. This guy has been performing for what? 6, 7 years? 7 years. That's the longest Jake has ever done anything, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. He actually got me into comedy. He has performed all around Australia. He has run rooms in Tassie. He has fostered talent. And now, for the very first time, he's going to bring you his solo show, Upperclassless. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Jake Baylis!
If Thank you very much, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out to my debut, first ever show, Upperclassless. Give yourself a massive round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. My name, as most of you know, is Jake Baylis, but you can refer to me as Jacques Baylis. Not that that's my name, I just think it sounds incredibly cool. Like, it makes me sound like a French expressionist painter who exclusively drinks absinthe. Which is what I like about cool names. If you ever hear a cool name before meeting somebody, it can sort of create this image of what that person is like in your head, even before you actually meet them. And I heard what I believe to be one of the coolest names I've ever heard of in my entire life. You guys want to hear what that name was? Yeah. Santiago King. Ooh, Santiago King. What a cool name is that? I'm not sure about all of you, but I immediately pictured a man with jet black hair, laying poolside, surrounded by 20 naked people who he makes love to during the day. Men, women, non-binary, transgender, he doesn't care. He just loves to spread love. And one time chlamydia, but he apologizes for that. Santiago King! He sounds like the kind of guy that no matter what time of the day or night it is, would always be up for French toast. But he doesn't like powdered sugar, so instead he sprinkles a little bit of cocaine on top because he's wild like that. Santiago King! He sounds like the kind of guy that if he ever saw you insult your partner in public, would challenge you to a duel at dawn. And the reason he would challenge you to a duel at dawn, besides from the fact he's been up for 72 hours due to his coke toast bender, is that when he beats you, he has the entire day to make love to your partner like they deserve. Santiago King! I decided to wear my nice suit, as I always do for stand-up comedy, because it makes me look a little bit more cultured, a little bit more classy. Though, to be honest, I'm a bit of a cultured bogan. By that, I mean I grew up in a lower social-economic area of Launceston, known as Ravenswood, specifically Pioneer Parade. We didn't have much growing up. We had to make do with what we had. We never had Build-A-Bear like kids have nowadays. All we had was Build-A-Bong, which wasn't a bad toy because once the kids were done with it, the adults could play with it as well, so fun for the whole family, really. I also went to Brooks High School. Now, Brooks was a good school, but it did have a bit of a rough reputation. If you don't know the reputation that Brooks has, true story. I once knew a kid who was suspended from school for trying to stab a student from another school during a game of football with a sharpened pencil he kept in his sock. And that was the only time I'd ever seen him use a pencil for 4 years of academia. But things did change once I went to university, where I earned my Bachelor of Contemporary Art in Theatre, which basically means I spent 3 years studying art, theatre, and how many beers I could drink on a Wednesday uni night and still turn up to class. So I'm a bit cultured, but I'm not overly cultured. Like, I'm not the kind of person that can sniff a glass of wine and just tell you what's in it. Like, I can't just go, oh yes, 92 Merlot, I believe, with hints of duck's tears, I believe. Depression? No, wait, that's me. Oppression, I believe, of the working class. And is that oak? That smells like oak. I like that. That's nice. It's classic. I mean, I can do something similar to that, but I do it with car fires. Like, I could just see some smoke off in the distance and go, oh yes, 92 Toyota Corolla, I believe, with rear spoiler, 12-inch rims, I believe, and I think petrol. I think petrol was used as ignition. That's a good choice. I like that. That's nice. I love being at university, but I did pick up a few bad habits while I was at uni. Uni is actually when I first started smoking weed, and I don't normally talk about smoking weed, especially on stage, just in case my landlord ever turns up to one of my gigs, because then she might start asking a few awkward questions about some of the stains on the carpet. What's that? Oh, it rained the other night, and the roof leaked, and left that stain on the carpet there. It smells of marijuana. Would you believe it was raining bong water? Climate change is a real thing, you know. Though I started smoking weed at uni, that wasn't one of the first times I was around weed. One of the first times that I remember being around weed was when I was 14. I was walking to school one day, and I found what I know now to be a $25 bag of weed just like sitting on the ground. Thank you. But unfortunately, I didn't smoke at the time, so I did what any kid in a situation like that would do. Sell it to the weird kid who hangs out at the back of the Oval and always smokes durries at lunch. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say weird. That's mean. It's also not very descriptive as well. He was the kid at school, you probably all knew him, who always wore a long trench coat, even in summer. You know that kid? A lot of pockets. Could be a knife in there, could be a yo play. Both dangerous. Both dangerous in the wrong hands. I actually had an incident similar to that recently this year when I was working in my old job. I was working at the Clarion Hotel where I clean rooms. I was cleaning a room a couple of days after Festivali, and I found a small plastic bag with 30 little pills in it, which did shock me a little bit because the people who go to Festivali don't exactly seem like the kind of people who would be taking pills. Though if I was off my face, I know I'd feel a hell of a lot better about paying $30 for a glass of Shiraz. So I distributed a couple of these to a few mates of mine. Some of them were heading down to Hobart. Some of them were heading down to party in the paddock because if you've ever been to a music festival, you know you need to be at least 3 pills deep to even attempt to use a music festival bathroom. So I gave to a couple of guys, but I was informed by some of the guys that went down to Hobart, who, unlike me, actually did some fucking research on what these things were. And it turns out they weren't actually any sort of drug pills at all. They were headache tablets. Which made me feel really bad for those guys, but I felt even worse for the guys at Party in the Paddock. Because I just imagine them just sitting there like 2 a.m, just... Your pills kicked in yet? And the other guy just like, nah. But the headache I had from the music's gone, eh? So that's a fucking plus. I should catch you guys up on what I've been up to recently. As some of you know, I've recently become single. My ex-girlfriend, she dumped me on my birthday of all days. Yeah. So you probably all have the exact same response as I did when I had heard those news, which was, what a shit gift. Like, that's the kind of gift that makes you appreciate anyone that's ever gotten you socks and jocks. But I will be honest, I did get a bit depressed, like, during this. It was during COVID as well, so I wasn't seeing any of my friends. I ended up putting on, like, a bunch of weight. I wasn't exercising. I was eating unhealthy. I wasn't shaving my beard. I just let it grow out. I eventually got to the point where I was looking at myself in the mirror and came to the realization that Bigfoot is real. And he's just a man going through a really rough breakup. Which would explain why we can't get any like still photos of him, because every time he sees someone with a camera, he runs away because he doesn't want his ex to see how fat he's gotten. Can't let that bitch see I'm fat. So since I'm single, I'm on Tinder, and I've had a bit of success there. I've matched with a few girls. I actually matched with a girl recently who just had in a bio, I make a mean breakfast. So when I matched with her, I immediately sent her a message going, so, how mean of a breakfast we talking here? We talking 10 teeny tiny tomatoes, teasing, telling terrible truths? Big beefy breakfast burritos being bitches, bullying bacon bits beyond belief? Or if I don't finish my entire plate, are the mini sausages going to start calling me names? What do you mean you can't finish your whole plate? And calling us mini sausages? We're chipolatas, you slag! Get cultured! she deleted me faster than a pop-up ad. I've also been doing some work recently through the Launceston General Hospital, doing some role-play work for the Year 5 medical exam students. Now, doing role-play is nothing new to me due to my acting background, and also I do a little bit of role-play in the bedroom as well, where I normally play the role of a man who's terrible at sex. I roll through 7 failed relationships that I have truly mastered. So it was the week before we had to do all these exams and stuff. The people that were doing the role play were emailed what was wrong with us and what procedure we were going to be getting performed on us. And I was getting a digital rectal exam, which I was all excited for until I turned up to the thing. But it turns out, due to COVID restrictions and everything, they weren't actually going to be using people for it. They were actually going to be using mannequins, which fucking really disappointed me because I bleached my butthole and everything. Yeah. My butt was like an All Lives Matter protester. Just a white asshole. Whoa. I was talking to the examiner beforehand and he asked me if I've ever done anything like this before. And he meant role play. I thought he meant get a finger up the butt. So I'm like, medically, never. Sexually, that's pretty much how we start the engine. Key in the ignition. If that doesn't work, choker. Oh, that's my microphone. I'm just sipping my microphone there. It was nice though during this whole COVID thing to have a break from certain people. To be specific, I'm talking about religious door knockers. Not that I have anything against religion, you know. Everyone's allowed to be wrong. And not that I have anything against them as people. I just hate anyone who has the audacity to turn up to my house and try to spoil the ending of a book that I haven't read yet. And they're so boring as well, like with their speech. Like they knock on your door and just... Hi there. Would you like to hear the story of Jesus Christ, who spread the word of love across the land with 12 disciples, performed miracles like turning water into wine, until eventually he made the ultimate sacrifice and died for our sins on the cross, only to be resurrected 3 days later? Like, no! That sounds fucking boring! You even made the fact he came back from the dead boring. If they want more people, they should really sort of do it like they're doing a movie pitch. One man, 12 friends by his side, with the ability to get them all pissed on the cheap, will eventually do the ultimate sacrifice and die for our sins. But did we mention... he's a motherfucking zombie? I'm like, oh, yes! Come in. Tell me, I want to hear more. I would love to hear the story about Santiago King. Yes, come in! Like, it's Jesus. I'm like, yeah, he sounds just as cool. Come in, whatever. I'm honestly surprised with how well The Passion of the Christ did, which made over $1 billion. $1 billion from gullible Christians. And a couple of atheists who just wanted to have a laugh. I'm honestly surprised with how well that movie went and Hollywood's love of cinematic universes, that the two ideas haven't, crossed over. Because when you think about it, there's a lot of stories in the Bible and all the other religious texts out there. And if you base it around how Marvel have structured their cinematic universe, it could actually make a lot of money. It's like, picture this, we've already got our Jesus origin story there. So we can use some other stories. We can use Noah. We'll bring in James Cameron. He directed Titanic, so we know he's good with boats. And he directed Avatar as well. So he's the only person I know good enough with CGI to make it realistic that 2 of every animal on the planet would fit on one single ark at the same time. As you can tell, I have a slight issue with that. Then we can bring in some other religious figures as well. We can bring in Moses, we can bring in Vishnu, we can bring in Krishna. There's talks of bringing Muhammad in, but consider him sort of like Spider-Man. Someone else currently owns the right to him, and every time we try to use that image without their permission, they get very cranky. And we have a couple of French cartoonists on our team, so yeah, that's a deep cut. Then we go on to phase 2. This is where we bring in the sequels. We catch up with everybody and see what they're doing in 2020. First up, Jesus Christ, the Christian soldier. Jesus Christ returns in 2020 with the ability to heal people, but due to COVID-19 has to stay at least 1.5 meters away at all times, which does lead to a lot more sick people, but a lot of relieved altar boys. Yeah. And swing. Yeah, did well. We can also do Noah too. Noah realizes that climate change is a real thing, so he's got to build a second ark, but this time he's got to battle environmentalists because of all the lumber it would take to put 2 of every animal on the planet on the same ark at the same time. And since, also he'll battle environmentalists, and on the other side he'll battle climate change deniers and Donald Trump. Noah is a drunk. Hashtag sad. Hashtag no way are you building a boat before I build my wall. And since phase 2 is a little bit dark, this is when we bring in the comedic characters. We bring in Joseph Smith, the prophet of the Mormon faith. Mormon faith. Yeah, that's it. Because if you don't know anything about that religion, they were told about the word of God by a man who basically read it out of a hat, which is so ridiculous. L. Ron Hubbard, who created Scientology, goes, "That sounds fake to me." that doesn't make any sense at all. Then we go on to phase 3, where we release our 10-part miniseries of David versus Goliath, featuring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart, because don't tell me you wouldn't want to see that. And we release it all on our own religious streaming service, which we currently have a few ideas kicking around the office. We've got Godflix, Jesus Plus, or Jesus Cross. We're not too sure on the idea yet. I prefer Jesus Plus because Jesus Cross sounds like he's angry with us. Though if you're religious and you look at how 2020 is going, you might agree he is. And for those of you on a tight budget who can't afford another streaming service, we have the perfect one for you, which we've entitled Julu. I try to keep myself busy during COVID and everything. I did a lot of baking of food, not just myself for once. I ended up getting a dad bod from that, I think. I don't know. I never met mine to compare. And I watched every single porn on Pornhub alphabetically from A to Z. Now, how many guys here have ever gone into the Z category? No one? You don't know what's there. You're missing out. Let me tell you what, there are some fantastic things that you would never actually expect in there. Like probably one of the best ones I found, true story, was a Blu-ray DVD rip of the 2014 Disney classic Zootopia. Yeah. Which is great because I'm a massive Disney fan and I hadn't actually seen that film. So it became the first film on Pornhub that I actually watched all the way through. Even after I came. Hashtag not a furry. But I did make a bit of an awkward discovery while I was on my porn voyage. And that was a girl that I actually went to university with has become an amateur adult actress. Now, I'm not going to have a go at her for doing what she's doing for 2 reasons. One, she's one of the few people from my degree who's actually using her fucking degree. And 2, fuck yeah, it's porn. Good on her. If I could do porn, I would do porn. But unfortunately, no one's interested in my idea, comedians in cars getting blowies. So I clicked on the video because it arose both my curiosity and my dick. The rare double header. So I clicked on this video and it starts off, my friend, she's at the sink and she's doing the dishes when another girl walks in with a basket just under her arm. And my friend goes, "So where have you been?" And the other girl replies, "Oh, I just went to the farmer's market to pick us up something for dinner tonight." And my friend, she proceeds to walk over to the other girl, looks into the basket, and then proceeds to bring out a half-shucked piece of corn, and then says, no word of a lie, this exact sentence: "I don't like corn, but I've always wanted to fuck it." What? What was that? So while I try to comprehend that line that was just said, the girl grabs this piece of corn and basically just starts using it as a makeshift dildo. Just goes to town, just no lube, no condom, not even a bit of butter, which shocks me because butter and corn always go together. So after a couple of minutes of this, she decides she's not a big fan of the corn, which surprised me because as vegetables go, it's the only one that's naturally ribbed for her pleasure. So she ends up looking around, she grabs a second item from the basket. She ends up grabbing a carrot. But unlike the corn from earlier, the carrot actually has to wear a condom, which is weird, right? Like, if you think about it, surely you'd want a condom on the corn and not the carrot, because I've had corn stuck in my teeth and that's annoying. Could you just imagine if it was stuck somewhere else? So she ends up using this piece of corn, she ends up using this carrot, and then they finally reach near the end of the video where they finally grab a third item from the basket. Now, I'm going to open this up to everybody here. If you already know the answer to this, please keep it to yourselves, open to everyone else. What do you guys think was the third item? No eggplant, no zucchini, no baguette, no. I will say this though, one person once shouted out chicken salt. Like how bland is the pussy that you're eating if you have to season it? Any other guesses? Pumpkin watermelon. Jesus! You guys have some high expectations of a vagina. Jesus, no. No sweet potatoes, no. No cucumber. It was grapes. What? What are grapes going to really do after the corn and the carrot? But she ends up grabbing these grapes and she pretty much just starts popping them up a pussy like Pez. And the other girl just starts to vigorously finger her to the point it kind of actually stops looking sexual and more like a YouTube tutorial on how to make prison wine. And I'm not a wine guy, I told that earlier, but I was looking at this video, it was like is that like a 94 poussoir or is that just how you make goon? I don't know. Figure it out yourself. So I decided after watching that to take a break from pornography and vegetables as well. So now I have a lot of time on my hands and scurvy on my body. So I'm going to leave you guys with one last story before I go. I'm going to tell you guys about the time I went to a Thai ping pong show. Now, it was never my intent to go to a ping pong show. It was just one of those things that sort of happened, you know? I was travelling in Thailand with my friend Joe, and we're walking around this street called Bangla Road. Now, Bangla Road is this big, long, 200-metre long road that's basically wall-to-wall bars, clubs, and pubs. And outside all these bars, pubs and clubs are a bunch of spruikers who are trying to get you in to come to their businesses. Now, spruikers can be annoying in the best of times. They're even worse when you go to a different country, especially Thailand, because the Thai people are incredibly welcoming. So as soon as this specific spruiker heard mine and Joe's accent, he decided to greet us in a very Australian way by shouting, "G'day, cunts!" "You guys want to come see a ping pong show?" And we sort of stop and look at each other like, did that motherfucker just call us cunts? So we go over to talk to him just to politely inform him of the subtle nuances the Australian language has, and he just can't call a random person a cunt. Unless, of course, they're being a cunt, then just free range. So as we walk over there, he repeats himself, "G'day, cunts! You want to come see a ping pong show?" But then he adds, "It's free." Fucking sold, cunt. Should have said that from the start, cunt. So he takes us down this alleyway into this club, and we walk into this club, and there's this massive stage there with about 3 girls in lingerie just dancing, doing whatever. There's a couple of guys sitting in the front row, and in the corner there's a bar. So Joe and I, we go to the bar, we grab our drinks, and we sit down. About half an hour goes past, and so far, nothing has happened. It's basically just been the girls on stage dancing. So we sort of look to ourselves and go, well, this is a bit boring. We know where this place is. We know it's free entry. How about we go out, have a bit of a dance, get something to eat, and come back and see exactly what's going on about half an hour or so. So we get up and we go to leave. And just as we do, we're stopped by the bouncers, who ever politely inform us that the bar that we're in actually has a 2-drink minimum. And if we want to leave, we have to buy 2 drinks. Want and have never sounded more threatening in my entire life. And since it wasn't on my itinerary to get my ass kicked, I decided to sit my ass down. So I sit down there, but just as I do that, the show actually begins, and this Thai woman, she walks out on stage with a bucket of ping pong balls and those red party cups you always see in frat movies. Now, I'll be honest, I don't exactly have a great frame of reference when it comes to shit like this. I haven't been to many ping pong shows, so I don't know what's good, what's bad, or what's indecent. But I'll tell you this. This bitch was amazing. She had the skills that apparently did pay the bills. And she was hitting trick shots that you wouldn't believe. At one point, she turned away from the audience. She bounced it off a wall into a cup. At one point, she had her hands behind her back and she was dribbling the ball. They brought out 2 defenders on her. She was like Kobe Bryant. She hit a step back, pump fake, fade away, just Kobe! Straight in! It was amazing. At one point, she was on top of a grassy knoll. She hit a model JFK in a Chevrolet from 5 meters away. I didn't know what to say. I was looking for a second shooter. There was none. It was her. I was bamboozled. So she does her show and everyone gives her a massive round of applause. And so Joe and I are like, you know what, that was great. Let's just stick around and see exactly where the rest of this show goes. So we get up, we get ourselves some other drinks, we sit back down. And as we do, some of the girls that were there out earlier, they come back on the stage, they start dancing. And so we sort of think to ourselves, this must be the interval act before the next thing comes on. So we're not paying too much attention, we're talking to one another. These girls are on stage, they're dancing in their lingerie, they're touching each other. But we don't care, we're just talking to ourselves. But then things start to take a little bit of a turn as they ask for an audience member to join them on stage. So one of the guys immediately up the front row, he puts his hand up, they bring out a chair, sit him down, and they start giving him a basic lap dance, and you can tell he's having the time of his life. He's motorboating them, he's slapping them around the arse and stuff, and they're enjoying themselves as well. They're laughing, they're giggling, they're kissing him, they're rubbing his shoulders, and they're rubbing his chest. But that's when things start taking a little bit of a turn, as their hands slowly start to make their way down his stomach, to his belt line, to underneath his belt line, to, by judging by the hand movements that were going on, this guy was getting the old 1-2, how do you do? just in front of everybody. And then things start getting even weirder. Like, as one of the girls was jacking this guy off, one of the other women takes off the guy's shirt. Then another woman takes off his pants. Till eventually this guy is just laying there completely naked, except covered in a towel. But now the fact that he's got nothing there, these women just have free range just to go straight under the towel and give the old fucking 5-knuckle shuffle. So it's at this point, Joe and I are looking at ourselves going, what exactly have we gotten ourselves into? Maybe we should leave before we see a possible sexual assault crime. So we go to get up, and just as we do, one of the women actually produces a blindfold, and I'm like, wait! Let's see where it goes from here. You know, in for a penny, in for a pound sort of thing. So they put the blindfold on this guy, and just as they're doing that, one of the women actually walks off stage, but is immediately replaced by another woman. But unlike the other women that were on stage earlier, this woman just comes out completely naked. And she just walks on stage, and she is drop dead gorgeous, by the way. She has long, jet black hair that's just cascading just over her boobs, all the way down her stomach, stopping ever so shortly of her big meaty. I'll never forget that, Dick. Not to the day I die. It was girthy at the base. And then, like, thinned out in the middle. And then, like, the head sort of bulbous out. For your imagination, I give you an upside-down bishop piece. And the veins. Oh, veins. Heavy. Heavy with veins. And thick as well. Thick and angry, like Eugene Levy's eyebrows. Just, ugh. And the balls. Oh. Hefty. Like 2 summer plums hanging off a tree branch. The right one just hanging ever so lower. And completely just clean shaven as well. Just nothing there. Just tidier than your nan's house when she has visitors over. And there's no pretense to this, to what exactly she does. She just goes over there, puts her hand straight down this towel and just starts jacking off this guy. And I'm like, she's pretty good at it. To the point I'm kind of like, I'm taking notes. It's kind of like watching the Iron Chef of Jack and Dick. So eventually the show, it comes to an end, I guess, because she takes her hand away. She ends up wiping the towel and she walks off. And the girl that was there originally on stage, she comes back on. They take the blindfold off this guy and they give him a polite round of applause. So I tell you this story tonight just for one main reason, and something you can take away. I hope you take away this lesson. A lot of bad things may happen in your life. You may get dumped on your birthday. You may get sold ecstasy pills, which turn out to be headache tablets. By the way, Paul, I'm sorry. You might not be named Santiago King, but look on the bright side. At least you've never been jacked off by a Thai ladyboy in front of 8 people. One of them would turn out to be a comedian who would tell that story at his debut sold-out show, Upperclassless! My name is Jake Baylis. Thank you very much.
Jake Baylis, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for him. Give him a word.